Awesome. So I've been having a lot of conversations with different people around VDI. At the moment, it's a buzzword, it's got a lot of questions. And so I thought I'd grab Liam for a couple of seconds. We have some great conversations around breaking down tech and share his knowledge with you. So thank you for your time, Liam. My first question, and the question I get asked a lot, is what is VDI?
Yeah, VDI stands for Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. It basically means that people are working on a machine that's not in their physical location, it's in the cloud. So it's hosted somewhere in a cloud environment. That cloud could actually be your on-premise server environment, and to the user who is perhaps working offshore or from home, it's the cloud to them. But it's a remote location where we simulate a workstation environment for people to get their work done.
And I guess that taps into what RDS, or a lot of people running an RDS environment for the remote, or COVID forced them into such a setup. How does it compare to that? Why would you swap to a VDI over maintaining a RDS?
Yeah, so virtual desktop infrastructure and RDS, or remote desktop services, go by a lot of names. Some people know it as Citrix. Originally, people knew it as a terminal server or a console, or they worked from dummy clients. So these are all iterations of the same technology as it's continued to develop. So VDI is the current iteration from Microsoft. It's definitely the most comprehensive offering that they have in this space. VDI is designed to more closely emulate the desktop experience that people are used to. So VDI simulates a Windows 10 or a Windows 11 user experience, whereas RDS simulates a server user experience and it patches that with features to make it look like a workstation. So rather than trying to turn a server into a workstation environment, we're using a workstation environment to create a remote hosted experience. So the biggest takeaway is, going forward, it aligns with the direction Microsoft's developing in. So if your organization, or if you want to make use of applications like Teams for video calling or SharePoint for file management, you have to do that in VDI. Neither of those technologies work properly, and they're not supported in remote desktop services or RDS.
Which can make them more problematic at a customer level. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. People have a reasonable expectation that they can use all of this new tech that Microsoft is telling them about and advertising constantly online, and they're frustrated to find that it doesn't work. When you fire up a Teams call in RDS, the RDS server grinds to a halt pretty quickly, and you may not realize that you're impacting the other 19 people who are logged into your RDS server right now. Whereas technology like VDI is designed for that and knows how to manage the user impact so that it works as intended.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess the final kind of thing that gets thrown my way is around security and how VDI is actually more secure. So we have, for context, a number of clients who have an offshore component to their business. VDI is the easy answer for that. But security, they're often financial companies or lawyers dealing with important information. How is VDI, I guess, a secure option for those businesses?
Yep. VDI allows you to centralize and control your environment. So in a distributed workforce world where everyone suddenly went home, many organizations sent actual computers and screens home with their staff because of COVID. They had to keep going and they weren't really equipped. So they just sent all of their work. And what happened is they distributed their files everywhere. Reclaiming those, trying to get those files back, trying to get those workstations back has been a challenge for many organizations. What VDI does is it gives you a centralized environment. All the files, all of the data systems, all of the work stays in that controlled workspace. This is fantastic when it comes to someone needing to change roles or move on from the organization. You don't need to ask the question, did they save that to their desktop? Did they put a copy of that somewhere and I now need to go and find it? Because you know it never left the VDI environment. It's good for people who have to travel. Some countries, you do not want to bring your data into that location. You can guarantee it's not staying secure. It is being inspected on the way in. So a VDI environment keeps the data here in Australia, sovereign to our nation state, and allows people to work from wherever in a more secure way. More commonly, when people are using BYOD, so I've got my my laptop and I use it during the week for work, and my son uses it on the weekend to play some tank game that he's recently downloaded, I know that he's not going to accidentally bump into my work files on that shared device. And as security administrators, we have to be worried about those kinds of things. Something which often gets overlooked, which I think is really important, is we want to educate the humans. People are our best defense in security. They're the ones at the very front of the attempt to keep the bad guys out. They will do a really great job when they know what to expect and what is normal, and they can easily spot this is not normal. But if everyone has a different experience, it's really hard to educate your workforce to say that pop-up is bad or that pop-up is expected. That application should be asking you for attention or not. In a VDI environment, everyone is given the specific setup that they need, and it looks the same day after day. And so when something is out of the ordinary, it's easy for them to quickly spot this doesn't look right, and they can throw their hand up. Hey, security team, can you have a look? This doesn't look normal. And I guess extending that thought out as well, you don't have to, in an RDS environment, often you'll end up with whole groups of users having a common set of applications that they don't all need. Whereas in a VDI environment, because you're not running one RDS server with 20 users, you're running one VDI instance with perhaps 4 users. Each instance can be configured to be either identical across the whole fleet, or you might have one for the finance team and one for your sales team and one for your customer service team. And they just have the apps that they need, so they can see and do what they need to do, but they're not exposed to apps that may give them access to applications they shouldn't, or may need to be patched and create more admin overhead. You're reducing the attack surface. So there's quite a few elements to how VDI is certainly a step forward from RDS in terms of security, but also a step forward from everyone having their own thing, doing, you know, whatever seems good to them.
And I know we said we'd have a super quick chat, but one more question. People who are considering VDI for their business model, where's the best place to start?
Yeah, it's a really good question. The first thing is to ascertain whether or not it's going to meet your needs. And I would suggest a conversation with someone in your IT team or your IT strategy team, just to understand, does your business requirement align with what VDI is really purposed for? The good thing about VDI is because it's cloud-based, you can consume it at the volume and the level you need. So you may find that VDI is great for your offshore sales team, but everyone else can keep working on company-owned and provided laptops, for example. So have a chat with someone who can help you unpack how your business objectives align to the purposes of VDI.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope everyone found this as helpful as I do on a regular basis, and take care.